Now, before I open it up to questions, I do want to speak on the heinous political assassination of Charlie Kirk. As President Trump powerfully stated yesterday, this assassination was an attack on everything that makes the United States of America the greatest country on earth.
He also stated, Charlie Kirk loves everybody, but that's the one thing we disagree on. I hate my enemies, and I hate them so much. And Trump basically admitted that he hates half the country. Well, really more than half the country. He hates most of the country that hates him. He hates the people that he's supposed to represent because, well, he's only president for MAGA. He's not the president of the United States.
But that attack has completely failed. The heartwarming response from the overwhelming majority of the American people over the past 2 weeks is all of the proof that you need. The assassin who took Charlie's life can destroy flesh and blood, but he can never destroy the values that Charlie stood for. All across the country, millions of Americans have prayed, hosted vigils, attended church services, became politically engaged for the first time, and honored the legacy of Charlie and the ideals he died speaking for. The beautiful memorial service attended by President Trump and 100,000 great Americans in State Farm Stadium yesterday was just the latest example. And Erica Kirk's mercy was one of the greatest acts of grace this world has ever seen.
Erica Kirk's mercy was one of the greatest acts of grace this world has ever seen. She forgave the guy, right, who sniped her husband in the neck, caused his neck to explode in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, really in front of millions of people because it's been played all over the world now. She forgave this guy. Now, you would only forgive this guy for one or two reasons. One, he wasn't the guy. And two, he was the guy, but it was set up for political purposes. And how could you forgive somebody like that? I don't understand. I mean, look, I understand that in Christianity, there's a huge emphasis on forgiveness. But I don't think that is to be interpreted like you should literally forgive the person that murdered the father of your children unless you're trying to become J.D. Vance's vice president. I'm just speculating here.
May God continue to watch over Erica and their beautiful children. Unfortunately, there have been some jarring exceptions to this unity. This past Friday, 58 House Democrats voted no, and 38 voted present on a resolution that simply stated, condemning in the strongest possible terms the assassination of Charles James Kirk.
That is not what the resolution simply stated, Karoline, but nice job twisting reality. The resolution she's referring to, I want to make sure everybody pays attention to this. The resolution called for recognizing Charlie Kirk as a, quote, courageous American hero who, quote, sought to elevate truth. Now, you can't just say that his opinions on the far-right fringe of our country, the extremist conservative movement that Charlie Kirk led, you can't just call those opinions truth just because he's no longer with us. We cannot whitewash Charlie Kirk's history. That's exactly what AOC said. I respect her for saying that, and that's exactly what I'm saying as well. So, 58 Democrats, really upset there weren't more Democrats, voted no because they don't want Charlie Kirk to be remembered as a courageous American hero. He was not a war hero. He was not a firefighter. He was not a cop. He didn't save lives. If anything, he contributed to a climate of political violence that we see in this country. He called for the assassination of Joe Biden when Joe Biden was president. He says abortion is worse than the Holocaust. He says black women don't have the mental capacity to do jobs. And he says he hopes the pilot's white when he gets on a plane. And then people will twist his words and say, well, he's just saying that because he wants to make sure that it wasn't just a DEI hire who was not qualified, but they're only hired because they're black. No, actually, you dumb motherfucker, you have to be 3 times as qualified to be black in this country and to do a job. Seriously, think about it. You have to work 10 times as hard to be black in this country and to get the same opportunities. Okay, there's no handouts. There's no handouts. All DEI is about is making sure that we have a country that celebrates diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because we are a diverse country, we should be an equal country, and this country should have inclusion. But Charlie Kirk belonged to a sect of this country that still believes the South will rise again.
In all forms of political violence. There were no strings attached to this vote. This was a simple gesture of human decency to denounce political violence. I wish I could say that this was only a fringe group, but 96 votes is nearly half of the entire House Democrat caucus.
Not enough. Not enough. Too many Democratic losers, that's who they are, really. Too many Democratic losers voted along with this Charlie Kirk resolution. Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader. What a disgrace that guy has become. What a joke Jeffries is. Seriously. Okay? And by the way, look, I caucus with the Democrats. I'm on their side most of the time because I align closer with the Democrats than I do with the MAGA movement, even though Democrats fuck up on so many levels. But Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Charlie Kirk by voting for this before he's endorsed Zohran Mamdani. He won't even endorse the Democratic candidate for mayor in the city that Hakeem Jeffries supposedly represents. But he has endorsed Charlie Kirk as a courageous American hero. What a bunch of bullshit that is. What a bunch of bullshit that is. Hakeem Jeffries should be ashamed of himself for that, but he's not. He's not.
And they didn't just vote against this basic resolution condemning political violence. A number of those same Democrats took to the House floor to smear Charlie Kirk's name. The man wasn't even buried yet, and Democrat members of Congress were denigrating his memory on the floor of the House of Representatives. This was truly a sad moment and a clear reflection of how radical the Democrat Party has become. Many Democrats in elective office have now been totally captured by a radical fringe of the far-left base who want to dehumanize every person they disagree with. We must continue to call this...
Dehumanize every person they disagree with? Everything they say is projection. Everything they say is admission to guilt. All they do all day long is, well, these illegal aliens are savages and they're gang leaders, and these people are animals from mental institutions. We need to lock them up in alligator Alcatraz and kick them out of our country. But it's the left that uses dehumanizing language. Or let's talk about Gaza. These brutal savages, these monsters, barbarians in Gaza are so bad. Israel has to defend itself, even though all they're doing is destroying people every single day. No, but it's the left that uses dehumanizing language. Oh, and let's not forget about the Epstein survivors, right? It's a hoax. It's full of shit. Stories, nothing. Why are you still talking about this? It doesn't matter. It's made up. But the survivors, they don't think that. Why are you using dehumanizing language against them, calling their struggles a hoax? I hope people see through this.
Wickedness out. It's the only way that our nation can heal. For too long, past leaders have offered platitudes while political violence has been allowed to fester and harm innocent Americans. There has been coordinated campaigns dating back years, spearheaded by radical left-wing organizations centered on dehumanizing, intimidating, doxing, and even attacking Americans whom they disagree with. These groups have radicalized impressionable individuals to foment violence. An attempted transgender assassin traveled to Justice Brett Kavanaugh's family home with plans to end his life. An attempted assassin came within an inch of ending President Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania, and on the campaign trail, another attempted assassin tried to kill the president at his golf club in Florida. A left-wing assassin shot United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson right in the back in the heart of New York City. ICE agents are facing a more than 1,000% increase in assaults for...
She's going to have to really pull out some deep cuts to try and paint a picture like it's left-wing violence that's out of control in this country, when I thought just a month ago they were saying that it's trans violence that's out of control, and that it's the epidemic of trans violence, but now it's left-wing violence, but it's undocumented migrants that are causing the violence. It's the movement that is actually causing the violence that has to point to all these different groups, and they can't even get their own story straight.
Simply doing their jobs. Violent radical left-wing mobs engaged in illegal behavior, targeted Jewish Americans, and shut down America's college campuses under the previous administration. Left-wing mobs burned down Tesla dealerships out of, quote, protest of Elon Musk and his policies.
Has anybody ever seen a left-wing mob? I'd love to see one if they're real. In fact, if there is a left-wing mob, can somebody email me? Because I'd love to join one. That would be awesome. But unfortunately, I have never been invited to join a left-wing mob, so it's hard to believe they're real.
In May, a left-wing activist shouting "Free Palestine" murdered 2 innocent Israeli embassy staffers outside of the D.C. Jewish Museum here in Washington.
I didn't realize, by the way, this is not at all condoning the political violence, but I didn't realize Free Palestine was a left-wing thing to say. I mean, I think at this point, everybody is pretty clear on what's happening there, and this administration is fundraising for a genocide.
These are just a few examples, prominent examples, of the growing left-wing political violence in our country. Enough is enough, and as President Trump has promised, he will directly address the dark sources funding and supporting this domestic terrorism to finally restore order in our country.
It's so funny because imagine thinking that you have to be paid to protest Trump. That's what I always say. It's like, imagine thinking you have to pay somebody to protest Trump. It's like, people hate Trump so much, they'll do it for free. I mean, actually, you know what? I would pay to protest Trump. Like, if let's just say there's this awesome protest, but you had to pay like $9.99 to get in, I would pay. You know, maybe the money would go towards like immigrant communities or go towards aid relief in Gaza. Like, I would absolutely pay. But the fact that Trump wants you to believe that people are getting paid for this, like, I wish I was getting paid. Fuck it. Maybe we should start paying people. That'd be great. And the sad reality is there is actually a lot of money going into these right-wing organizations like Turning Point USA to spout some of this disgusting Nazi propaganda that we saw yesterday at their little Aryan rally. I think the money speaks for itself. Follow the money. It's going to the right.
The American people can expect further, very strong action on this very soon. Everyone, Republican, Democrat, everyone in between, we all deserve to live in a country where we do not have to fear for our lives simply for stating what we believe in. With that, I will take your question. In today's new media seat, we have Monica Page, who is the White House correspondent for Turning Point USA's news organization, on the front lines. Monica, thank you for being here.
It's all so staged and rehearsed. Like, of course, it's a Turning Point person immediately, right off the bat. By the way, I had somebody from Turning Point message me. They're like, I pity you, man. I feel so bad for you. I literally responded. I was like, who are you? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, why are you commenting on my page? And he's like, I'm one of the heads of Turning Point, and I would actually invite you on my podcast if you want to have an honest discussion, but of course you never do. It's like, stop trying to fucking chase my clout, bro. Like, fucking meat rider. I don't want to go on your podcast. I'm sorry. Like, it's a waste of time. I don't like Turning Point. I don't like what you guys are doing. And we can have some kind of discussion, sure, but you're not going to profit off my name, that's for sure.